One of the most iconic and recognizable submachine gun designs in history, the Uzi is an Israeli classic with a very storied past. Developed in the wake of World War II, at a time where tensions in the Middle East were at a breaking point, this battle-proven SMG has been and remains a popular choice for the militaries and law enforcement units of nations on all continents. With over 2 million produced since 1954, and higher estimates stating over 10 million, the Uzi is arguably the most prolific SMG of all time, along with the MP5. With a weight of 7.7 pounds and a length of 17.5 inches, this SMG fires the 9x19mm Parabellum cartridge at rates of 600 rounds per minute, out of 20-round magazines loaded into the grip. Born out of fierce conflict and continued hostilities, the Uzi is effective at up to 200 meters, with rounds traveling at 400 meters per second. The Middle East is a very turbulent region, and has been for centuries, various wars being waged for its hotly contested territory. At the end of the First World War, the Ottoman Empire that controlled the majority of the land there had been defeated, and was split up into various mandates by the victorious British and French empires via the Sykes-Picot Agreement. One of these mandates, the British Mandate of Palestine, would, over the next few decades, see heavy immigration from the Jewish populations of Eastern Europe, due to oppression and fear spurred on by the rise of the Bolsheviks in Russia and the Nazis in Germany, but this would begin to cause tensions with the Arab populations living in the area. These tensions, along with anger surrounding British rule, would lead to the Arab Revolt from 1936 to 1939, and in its aftermath, the British decided to end the Palestinian Mandate and set up a new independent Palestinian state to be jointly governed by the Arabs and Jews in the next 10 years. But this plan, known as the White Paper, was rejected by both sides. Following World War II, the British handed off the Palestinian situation to the newly formed United Nations, and their Special Committee on Palestine, or UNSCOP, proposed an independent Arab state, an independent Jewish state, and the city of Jerusalem to be under an international trusteeship system, but this angered the Arab community, with violence breaking out between both sides, and a civil war would begin in 1947. The next year, the State of Israel would be declared, becoming recognized by both the United States and Soviet Union, but the Arab League, comprised of Egypt, Transjordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq, declared the right to Arab self-determination across all of what was the British Mandate of Palestine, and invaded the territory. After initial territorial losses, the Israelis managed to force the Arab League back to the borders of Palestine, using varied Allied and Axis weapons left over from World War II, and in 1949 would sign armistice agreements with the Arab League, ending the First Arab-Israeli War. One man had realized a problem with the Israeli armaments. They were relying on wartime relics to defend themselves, and set about creating a new weapon specifically for the newly formed Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF. His name was Captain, and later Major, Uziel Gal, known to his friends as Uzi. Gal had immigrated from Germany to Britain in 1933, then to the British Mandate of Palestine in 1936, and in 1943 was arrested by the British due to him illegally carrying a firearm. While imprisoned, Gal began reading up on the weapons used by the underground Jewish fighters, and based on their deficiencies, decided to design his own light, simple, and efficient firearm, and in 1946 he was pardoned and released. By 1950, using ideas from existing weapons such as the Czech SA-23, Gal had put together a new submachine gun, utilizing a simple blowback operation made of stamped steel parts with a metal stock folded above the receiver and using magazines loaded into the pistol grip. Gal's design was very simple and cheap to produce, with the magwell placement making it very well balanced, and its ability to lay down effective suppressive fire made it an easy choice for Israel, being that they were at the time a fairly poor new nation without much industrialization. By 1951, the Israelis had adopted Gal's weapon, designating it the Uzi, despite Gal requesting that the firearm not bear his name, and began producing it for paratroopers, tank and armored vehicle crews, and special forces units. It would be combat tested in 1956, when Israeli paratroopers of Unit 202 seized the Mitla Pass in the Sinai Peninsula, the Uzi proving effective at clearing the Egyptian forces out of caves in the area, and it would go on to serve in the ensuing Arab-Israeli wars. Although it was effective at close range, the opposing Arab forces were fielding the AK-47 and later AKM, rifles that gave them vast fire superiority, causing the Israelis, then equipped with Uzis and the Belgian FN-FAL, to seek replacements, eventually settling on the M16 and Galil in the 1960s and 70s, phasing the Uzi out of infantry roles in the 1980s, though the Uzi remained in service with Israeli Special Force units. Since production began in 1954, several variants of Uziel Gal's original Uzi design have been produced, beginning with the Mini Uzi. The Mini Uzi, produced first in 1980, is lighter, having a shortened 7.8-inch barrel, a side-folding stock, and a shorter bolt, thus increasing the fire rate to 950 rounds per minute. The Micro Uzi, introduced in 1986, is an even further scaled-down variant of the Uzi, with a shortened 4.6-inch barrel and utilizing a closed bolt, unlike the original's open bolt, the fire rate again being raised, this time to 1200 rounds per minute. The final military variant of the Uzi is the Uzi Pro, an improved version of the Micro Uzi, introduced in 2010, this variant being made entirely of polymer, having a larger redesigned grip for better control in automatic fire, with 4 Picatinny rail mounts, one on top for optics, 2 on the sides for attachments such as lights and lasers, and 1 on the bottom for foregripes. There also exist civilian variants of the original Uzi and Mini Uzi, known as the Uzi Carbine and Mini Uzi Carbine, both being fitted with 16 and 20-inch barrels respectively to make them legal for sale, and also chambered in 22 long rifle, 9mm, 41 AE, and 45 ACP. The Uzi pistol is also available to civilians, being a semi-automatic stockless Micro Uzi variant produced from 1984 to 1993, and has since been replaced by the Uzi Pro pistol, although these pistol variants are only available in 9mm. A number of foreign clones and copies also exist of the Uzi, such as the Chinese Norinco M320, Serbian Zastava M97, and Burmese BA93. Throughout the late 20th century, the Uzi found service with the IDF during the various Arab-Israeli wars that occurred over the years, and the Uzi would become a popular choice for the special forces of various nations, such as India and South Korea, also being utilized by the American CIA and Secret Service. Its distinctive profile has been seen across conflicts everywhere around the globe, serving as an effective small-caliber weapon in close-quarters engagements, a submachine gun with near-universal appeal, and a usage spanning nearly 70 years. The Uzi and its variants remain a common sight in the hands of firearms users of all stripes and allegiances, and coupled with the sheer volume of Uzis produced, it is certainly one of the most iconic SMGs of all time.